Hi, Rich Leiter here, and welcome to my channel, The Naked Booktuber. I listen to, even though I certainly say a lot of disparaging things about YouTube, I do listen to YouTube to a considerable degree. I listen to classical music on it, philosophical podcasts, podcasts about art, some movies. So I also am guilty of indulging in YouTube. And I had a thought recently. I'm very disturbed about the rollout of digital ID, particularly starting in Europe and in England. And apparently, which is soon to come globally to America and everybody else. I'm very disturbed by it, and it just sounds like a recipe for suffering and for slavery and for disaster worldwide. And so far. Nobody has really, from the podcasts that I've listened to, nobody has really come up with a plan on how to combat being under constant surveillance 24/7, your spending habits, your banking, your financial data, your medical data, your supermarket and food habits and so on, your leisure activities. All of this will be under the control of a central authority via digital ID. The money you have will be programmable, which means the pittance that you're allotted by the powers that be will have an expiration date on them, and you have to use that money by a certain period of time, or else it'll expire. You won't be able to buy anything with it. That's pretty horrendous, which means you can never be able to save any money. You have no autonomy at all. This is an accident waiting to happen. Now, at least in Europe, particularly in England, at least there have been demonstrations, some very considerable demonstrations, unlike in America, where there's never a demonstration about anything. Of course, demonstrations haven't really done any good. I doubt that they're going to do any good. But when I listen to these podcasts and I listen to people talking about digital IDs, they all talk about the different horrors, the potential horrors of digital ID. It's very disturbing, very upsetting to me. When I'm not up in the clouds painting, I realize there's a real world out there, and it's a pretty ugly one and dangerous one. So everybody, the podcast I listen to, and I listen to a number of them, is very, very knowledgeable and also very concerned about the rollout of digital IDs. But nobody seems to have a solution. Nobody seems to have a plan. I mean, the people who want to roll out this digital ID system, they certainly have a very, very specific, concrete plan. They have talking points. They have, they actually number them in their agendas. They're very specific. What do we have? All we have at the end of these videos I listen to is, well, we all got to get together and we got to fight this. Gee, that's pretty specific, isn't it? Or, we got to get together as a community. That's pretty specific, too. Or we can't let them do this to us. Gee, that's really specific. That's about as far as it gets. It's kind of pathetic. There is no plan of combating this at all. There's, a lot of talk. And I don't even know how many people are listening to this talk. I'm pretty sure that my neighbors down the street from me, who I say hello to in the morning when they're doing their lawn, I don't think they know what the hell a digital ID system is. But anyway, I had a thought. I could be wrong about this. Digital ID could be the greatest thing since whipped cream. Maybe I'm misinformed. I don't know. I'm not God. But from what I've heard and what I've read, this sounds pretty bad. This sounds like the end of everything, of total freedom in every respect. True slavery. So I had a thought a couple of hours ago when I was raking my leaves, and this is my thought. I listen to a lot of YouTube videos about various subjects, and my thought is this. All of the people that I listen to, I made a list at random of the popular videos that I tend to listen to from week to week, and I'm thinking to myself, if all of these podcasters who have these video channels on YouTube, if they simply stopped talking about their particular fields of interest and talked about digital IDs, just raised the issue, I think that would go a long way to spreading the awareness about this. I would like to know, all of these podcasters that I listen to, what their thoughts are about this system, whether they are for it or against it. I would like to know that. I think that would be very, very useful to know. For instance, I listen to a channel called The Ultimate Classical Music Guide, moderated by a man named Dave Hurwitz, who is kind of an expert on classical music. He has kind of an encyclopedic knowledge of just about everything which has been put on disc, classical music-wise. And he gives, he was a professional music critic, so he gives a podcast now, and he talks about different performances, different performers, classical music performers. And, I really like him. I love his demeanor, his sense of humor. I love his obvious knowledge of classical music and the classical music business. I mean, I listened to entertaining video, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago about his thoughts about Yuja Wang's attire. He gave us his take on it. He talks about the best performances of Mahler's Sixth Symphony, the best piano recitals of Tchaikovsky's first concerto. I think he loves Margaret Argerich. So I listen to him, pretty regularly, more and more. And Dave Hurwitz has, I just looked, he has 68.1 thousand subscribers. So what do you say, hypothetically, if Dave Hurwitz simply said to his public, you know something, I don't want to talk about classical music anymore, or at least not now. I want to talk about digital IDs. Well, that's 68,000 subscribers he has. I think that would be very useful. There's another guy I listen to once in a while, not often. His name is Adam Walker, and he talks about English literature. He's a humanist. He talks about being a teacher of English literature, of humanistic studies, and so on. He gives his take on this stuff, and he about how and same thing. I mean, I wish that Adam Walker would stop talking about poetry, stop talking about T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, give us his analysis of The Wasteland. I wish he would stop talking about the 6 easiest poets to read if you're breaking into poetry, or the 6 hardest poets to read if you're breaking into poetry. Just for a podcast or two, Adam. And just to say, I'm very, very upset about this digital ID rollout that they're proposing. Or maybe he's not upset about it. Or maybe he's not even aware of it. I would like him to tell us one of those alternatives. Because it sounds to me like if they have their way, these people, and we get this digital ID rollout, you're probably not even going to be able to buy any poetry books or any literature. You won't be able to buy T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland or Shakespeare's collected works. You might be able to buy 1 or 2 of them, but then when you try to buy another one, you might get a flashing message that says, "I'm sorry, sir or madam, but you have not taken your requisite number of vaccines yet." So until you do, we'll have to freeze your car, your chip. That certainly is very possible. So I would love it if, I don't know how many subscribers Adam Walker has, not as many as Dave Hurwitz, but I would love him just to raise the issue. You know, is he aware of this stuff? Who else? There's a guy, Michael Millerman, who has a channel. It's a philosophy channel. He's into political philosophy. He's into talking about philosophy. And he goes on and on. I guess he's trying to build his channel. I guess Michael Millerman is offering to deliver us all of us people who watch his channel and subscribe to his channel, that he's going to deliver us to the promised land of milk and honey of philosophy, whatever that is, if we just put our faith in him and listen to his podcasts. Well, maybe he will bring us to the promised land of milk and honey, philosophically speaking. But I would like Michael Millerman. Michael Millerman has 36,500 subscribers. That's a lot of subscribers, Michael. Congratulations. Do you think maybe you could give us your thoughts about the digital ID system and share it with your 36,500 subscribers? I would appreciate that. Maybe you could enlighten me. Maybe you could allay my fears about this system. I mean, you're a philosopher. You like philosophy. Maybe I have the wrong philosophical bent about digital IDs. Again, I mean, if we have this system the way I'm thinking it, you won't be able to buy philosophy books, Plato. You won't even be able to get on the internet if you haven't jumped through all of the requisite hoops that you have to jump through to have access to the internet once you have your digital ID. Won't be able to listen to your channel, Michael. Let me know what you think. I listen to a lot of podcasts about art and painting, obviously. Obviously. Where is it? Obviously. I listen to a channel sometimes called the Artist Undraped, moderated by Jeff Hine, who is an artist, talented artist. I listen to a fellow in Puerto Rico, Luis Barrero. Now, Luis Barrero gives podcasts about the materials that the old masters used, the kind of priming that the old masters put on their canvases, how they primed them, what kind of canvas they used, what kind of pigments they used, how they ground their stack white, lead white paint. It's a wonderful channel, and he's a hell of an artist. He's done some copies of famous paintings that are to die for. He's one of the few people I've seen on the internet who really can give an authentic, believable, gorgeous copy of an El Greco painting or a Vermeer or Rembrandt's self-portrait. I have nothing against Luis Barrero. I love him. You know, he's an inspiration. Maybe you could do that too, Luis. Maybe you could just talk about digital IDs, because, you know, again, I mean, my way of thinking is we get this system. I may not be able to buy paints anymore, and I like painting. I may be able to buy maybe one tube of titanium white paint per year. That will be my quota under this new system, because, you know, oil paints are made from oil, you know, and oil is petroleum based, and we don't want to fuck up the environment, so everybody's got to do their share. And if you're a painter, you have to ration yourself, right? I'm not being tongue-in-cheek. I wonder whether I'll be able to get any more artist supplies, you know? You might want to comment about that. Make a statement about it. Allay my fears, or add fuel to the fire. You too, Jeff Hine. And also, I listen to, Rublev. Rublev is a company that makes oil paints out in a very fine oil painter out in California. And I listened to this guy, George. I don't know his last name. And he talks about oil painting, preservation, what the best way to glaze is. And if you paint you're painting with an underpainting in acrylic, that you should wait until it dries properly before you add oil over it, because it might crack. He's very good at conservatorship and pigments and very technical stuff, and I like it very much. Maybe you could make a statement about that too, George, because again, nobody may be able to buy any more of your product, of Rublev paints, or any paints for that matter. You know? How about it? You got a bunch of subscribers. I mean, I have a small pissant channel. I got like 52 subscribers. But you guys got thousands, you know? You want to spread the word, about this issue? How about it? I'm doing my part right now. Who else? I listened to this guy in Norway. It's called the Apelles Cave. It's moderated by Jan Ov Tov, I think his name is, and he's kind of a disciple or an admirer of Odd Nerdrum, and I like Odd Nerdrum very much. You know, I like what he has to say a lot too. He's got a kind of a small channel, but a respectable channel. You might want to say something about the digital ID system also, Jan Ov. I listen to piano channels. I listen to a channel moderated by a guy, TrueCrypt, and another one, Gulliver, is the name of the podcast moderator. And they have recordings of Joseph Hoffman and Rachmaninoff playing some of his own music. Many, many different classical pianists who we probably have, who are not mainstream, but who are great classical pianists. Who else? I mean, I listen to this stuff all the time. It might be nice if you guys said something about the digital ID system also, because we may not be able to buy or download any more music. We may not be able to be on the internet anymore and listen to the music. It's a thought, isn't it? Who else? Anybody else? There's so many. James Combe. James Combe has a podcast. This is a guy I've been listening to for way back, 15 years. He's a guy who lives in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg. He's an artist, and he just goes to various gallery openings in Manhattan, on Soho, NoHo, the Lower West Side. And he just, goes there. He's like the roving reporter, and he just shows us the paintings that are in the gallery scene. He's got a big following. He's got 39,000 followers. Maybe he'd be interested in saying something about the system. Then more philosophy. I listen sometimes, not a lot anymore. There are like 95 million podcasts out there by 95 million self-proclaimed experts on Friedrich Nietzsche. And one guy I listen to, I don't know if they're experts or not, he's called Essential Salts. He's constantly talking about Nietzsche, okay? How about you? He's got 80,000 subscribers. What do you think about this digital ID thing? Spread the word. What's your opinion? Yea or nay? And then there's another one, Overthink Podcast. Is another philosophical channel I listen to sometimes. It's a good channel, The moderators give very concise analyses of various philosophers who I would never otherwise have waded through. They got like 103,000 subscribers. Wow! How about you? I hate to repeat myself, but if this system goes through and it goes south, well, we may not be able to listen to you on the internet. There may be no internet for us. There may be no philosophical books that you and I have access to. So how about it, Overthink Podcast? There are many, many more channels that I listen to. Some big, some small. Isn't that the way you spread the word about this subject, especially here in America? I'm kind of a dreamer and an idealist. You see, I love painting, writing, book reviews myself. But don't kid yourself. I see the world out there. I am acutely aware of the circus and the cesspool, which is right outside my door. It's actually in my door, okay? It's not lost on me. So how about it, guys? What do you say?